Hello friends, this video on neural control and coordination part 7 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So now we will talk about the human nervous system. Now when we talk about the human nervous system, you can think of the examples which I cited before. Jumping off on getting an electric shock. So just imagine how fast the transmission is taking place. Now we spoke about some of the nervous system of lower animals, the nerve cords, the nerve nets, the ganglia, the brain. So just imagine what might be present inside the human nervous system that helps us to respond so fast to a stimulus. So here also, if you see, these kind of reactions are all extremely fast. So here we are going to see, first we are going to see what are the constituents of the nervous system, what forms the nervous system, and then we will see how it works. So what constitutes the nervous system? Now the basic structural and functional unit of the nervous system is neuron or a nerve cell. Neuron is the name which is given to a nerve cell. So it is the basic building block. So it is the structural unit, that is many neurons together form all the different parts of the nervous system. Also it is the functional unit because each neuron performs the job of the nervous system. Now what is the job of the nervous system? To transmit information from one part of the body to another. So each neuron helps to transmit information. And how is the information transmitted in case of nervous system? As I said, in this form of electric impulses. So each neuron, so how can we say that each neuron is a functional unit? Because each neuron helps to transmit impulse. And millions of neurons are doing the same thing, and that is why the nervous system is able to transmit electric impulses. So many such neurons join together form the entire nervous system. So these neurons actually help in transmitting information to different body parts. Now in order to know how they do so, we first need to understand the structure of a neuron. That is, what is the neuron made up of? Now once we understand what is the structure of a neuron, then we will try to understand how a neuron transmit an electric impulse. Now once we know how a particular neuron transmit an electric impulse, we will try to know how the impulse is transmitted from one neuron to another neuron. So once we know that, then we basically know that how the information is transmitted from one part of the body to another. For example, when we touch a hot mug, what happens? Who transmits the information? To the muscles of our hand that they should lift themselves. So because we pull our hand back, that is because the skin is the sensory organ there, or the receptor. So the skin tells that okay, it is hot. Now that information reaches the brain, and then the brain tells our muscle cells to be in action and take our hand back. So this transmission of impulse, that is, the information was carried from our skin to our brain, and again the response was carried back from brain to the muscles. So this much of transmission happened with the help of neurons. Now this is how a neuron looks like. This is the structure of a neuron. So first, we will now understand the structure of neuron. Once we are clear with that, then we will see that how an electric impulse is generated. Now, before the impulse gets transmitted, first we need to know when we touch a hot mug of coffee, how an electric impulse is getting generated. There is no relation. If you think it literally, there is no electricity involved when you touch a hot mug of coffee. So from where is that electric impulse getting generated? The first question. Then how that generated electric impulse is being transmitted through a neuron. So these are the basic things that we need to understand first before we talk about the nervous system's function as a whole. So now we will talk about the structure of a neuron. Now, a neuron structure broadly consists of three parts. So, what are those three parts? The cyton, the dendrites, and the axon. So, these are the three important parts of a neuron. So, what is cyton? So, cyton is nothing but the cell body. So, this is the cell body, the orange colored structure which you see, that is cyton or cell body. What is dendrites? Dendrites are the hair-like structures or the projections from the cell body. So if you see, they are nothing but extension of the cell body. So they are the dendrites. And what is axon? Axon is this long length of the neuron. So if you see, this is also an extension of the orange colored structure. If you see this thin tube, so this long extension is axon. So basically dendrites and axons are extensions of the cyton. So let us talk about each of them in detail. So cyton is nothing but a different term for the cell body. It has a well-defined nucleus, as you can see here, a specific nucleus. And it also has cytoplasm, so the fluid which is present all around here is the cytoplasm. And this cytoplasm has other particles like Nissls granules and neurofibrils. So what are the Nissls granules? These are granule-like structures which are present in the cytoplasm. So here in the cytoplasm you have granules-like structure. So basically you can compare them with the rough endoplasmic reticulum which is present inside any cell of the body. So those rough endoplasmic reticulum have free ribosomes. And ribosomes are the site for protein synthesis. So here also these Nissl granules are like the rough endoplasmic reticulum. So these granules which are present in the cytoplasm are Nissls granules. And it also has neurofibrils, which are thin thread-like structures which are present in the cytoplasm, and they run through the cytoplasm and extend into axon and dendrites also. So the thread-like structures, they are present even in the dendrites and the axon region as well. Now what is the function of these Nissl granules here? So they also helps in the synthesis and release of proteins. As I said, their function is going to be the same as the endoplasmic reticulum or the Golgi apparatus. So they help in synthesis and release of proteins. Synthesis and release of proteins. So that is the function of the Nissls granules. So this is about cyton. Let us talk about dendrites. So dendrites are short thread-like structures arising from the cyton. So you can see small thread-like structures. They are not very long, but they are also an extension of the cytoplasm of the cell body. So if you see, they are kind of projections from the cell body. They receive impulses from outside and pass it to the cyton. So they will receive the impulse from outside and then they will pass that impulse to the cyton, that is the cell body. That is their function. So as I said, each neuron is going to help in transmitting impulse. Now how they will transmit the impulse? One end of the neuron will receive the impulse and bring it inside the neuron. The other end of the neuron will throw it out of the neuron. Then the last one, that is axon, which is a long thread-like structure arising from cyton. You can see here it is also an extension of the cell body. So both dendrites and axons are extensions or projections of the cell body. Just that dendrites are small in size, but they are many in number. So here you can see there are so many dendrites. But axons, they are like one in number, but it is quite long. So they has fibrous branches at their ends called axon endings. So here you can see the branched end of the axon. So this branched end is known as nerve ending or axon ending. So both mean the same thing, axon ending or nerve ending, because they denotes the end of the nerve. And what does it do? So we'll see that. Now it has bulb-like structures towards the end which are known as synaptic knob. So here you can see some swollen bulb-like structures at the end. So these swollen structures are known as synaptic knob. Now why it is known as synaptic knob? We'll see it very soon. Synaptic knob contains synaptic vesicles with neurotransmitters. Now inside this synaptic knob, so inside this there are vesicles or vessel-like structures which are called synaptic vesicles, and inside these synaptic vesicles are present the neurotransmitters. And what are these neurotransmitters? These are nothing but chemicals. So what kind of chemicals are they? These are the chemicals which contain information. So those chemicals are present inside the neurotransmitters. Axon endings of one neuron are loosely placed on cyton of another neuron. So that means this axon ending is going to be connected to the dendrite of another neuron or the cyton. Like it is going to be connected like this. So let us suppose this is one neuron. Okay. And these are the axon endings of one neuron. So this axon ending of one neuron will be connected to the cyton of another neuron. That means there will be another neuron whose cyton would be here. And then again these would be the axon endings. So the axon endings of first, let us say this is neuron 1, this is neuron 2. So the axon endings of neuron 1 will be loosely connected to the cyton of neuron 2. Right? So basically the dendrites help to carry the impulses inside the cyton, and axon carries away the impulses out of the neuron, and then this information passes from the axon endings to the second neuron, that is the neuron 2. So how this transfer actually takes place? It takes place through the nerve endings or the axon endings, because in the axon endings you have the synaptic knob. Inside that you have the synaptic vesicles which has the neurotransmitters. So these neurotransmitters are released and then they are picked up by the second neuron. So let us see how are these two neurons connected. So the loose connection between two neurons is known as synapse. So from this word synapse, they are known as synaptic knob, synaptic vesicles. So they are all named after this synapse. So let us see what is a synapse. Let us suppose this is an axon ending. This is a magnified picture of the axon ending. So this axon ending. So this swollen part of the axon ending is nothing but the synaptic knob. Inside the synaptic knob you have these vesicles. So these are the synaptic vesicles, and inside the synaptic vesicles you can see the neurotransmitters. Now as soon as the synaptic vesicles come towards the extreme end of the axon terminal, it releases the neurotransmitters. So these are the neurotransmitters. So neurotransmitters are nothing but the chemicals. Now these neurotransmitters are then received by the receptors which are present in the synapse. So this region is known as the synapse. So this region is synapse, that is the loose gap between the two neurons, and then the receptors will receive these chemicals, so the information is passed on to the next neuron. In the next neuron these are present on the dendrites. So dendrites will take these information, and the information will be passed into the cell body. Again from the cell body it will be taken to the axon, it will reach the axon endings, it will reach across the synapse, it will reach the next neuron. So that is how the information will get carried forward from one neuron to another. So these axon conducts impulses away from the cyton. So now you understand that how the information will get carried forward from one neuron to another. Please remember that always the axon endings of one neuron will be connected to the cyton or to the dendrites of the next neuron. So that is how the transformation can take place, because dendrites want to take in information and axon wants to throw out information. So now, as far as the structure is concerned, one more part of the structure which we did not discuss in the last slide is, you can see that when you look at this axon, even outside the axon there is some covering, there is some structure which you see in grey. So what is that structure? Now based on the presence or absence of that structure, there are two types of nerve fibers. One is myelinated nerve fibers and the other one is non-myelinated nerve fibers. So let us talk about myelinated nerve fibers. So what are they? Myelin sheath is present around the axon. So this structure which you see, that is nothing but a myelin sheath. So it is like a covering which is present outside the axon. And how is this myelin sheath formed? It is formed by a specialized cells which are called the Schwann cells. So here you can see some specialized cells, and these are known as the Schwann cells. So these cells actually form this myelin sheath around itself. So the myelin sheath is actually formed covering the axon. Now, what is the purpose of the myelin sheath? I mean, is there any advantage of the myelin sheath being present? Of course there is, because the presence of the myelin sheath provides insulation to the axon, because the axon always carries the electrical impulses. So if it has a lot of insulation, that helps, and this myelin sheath provides that insulation. Also, it is not necessary that in all neurons the axons will have myelin sheath. The nerve fibers where myelin sheath is present, they are called myelinated nerve fibers. Those where it is not present, they are called non-myelinated nerve fibers. Now, there is a gap between two consecutive myelin sheath, and that gap is known as node of Ranvier. So here you can see these are the gaps. So here is a gap, here is a gap, and these gaps are known as nodes of Ranvier. So they are like nodes, right? So each point is like a node, and they are called nodes of Ranvier. So these are some of the important parts or important structures as far as myelinated nerve fiber is concerned. Now, it has been observed. Now, why am I talking about myelinated and non-myelinated nerve fibers? Because it has been observed that the impulse transmission in case of myelinated nerve fibers is faster when compared to non-myelinated nerve fibers. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.